Coming up, samples of 2 coronavirus vaccines made in Kazakhstan are undergoing final preclinical trials. High investment activity, strengthening of the trade balance, acceleration in service sector. What indicators did Kazakhstan's economy achieve this year? Details next in our news digest. A little over a month is left before the start of the Winter Olympic Games in Beijing. Stay tuned to learn more about the preparations. High investment activity, strengthening of the trade balance, acceleration in service sector, as well as sustainable growth in the real sector. These factors became the basis of the growing indicators of the domestic economy this year. Such fields as information and communications, trade, water and power supply, construction and manufacturing industry showed positive dynamics of development. At the same time, attraction of internal and external capital investments, as before, remains an integral factor of economic growth. Experts noted that China was one of the top investing countries this year. To date, China is one of the key trade and economic partners of Kazakhstan and enters the top 5 of the largest countries investing in the economy of our country. In 2020, the mutual trade turnover between our countries has increased by 4%, exceeding $15 billion despite the pandemic.
Превысил $15 миллиардов США.
This year, investments in construction grew by more than 2 times, in manufacturing industry by 50.5%, in agriculture by 40.5%, and in trade by almost 35%.
У нас сейчас как раз-таки торговый баланс он укрепился, в целом возрос на.
Our trade balance has now strengthened and in general increased by 14.1%, amounting to $82.2 billion. There is a high growth in exports. Exports grew by 23.5% and totaled $49.1 billion. It is especially worth noting that it is the export of processed goods that is growing in our country. That is, it increased by 24.4% and amounted to $15.5 billion. Analysts noted that manufacturing industry demonstrated a steady growth trend in 2021. The production volume has increased by 5.2% over 10 months of this year. Positive growth dynamics is seen in all regions, but primarily in Almaty city, Almaty and Kazakh regions. According to the results of 2021, the total volume of purchases of goods, works and services of subsoil users, of hydrocarbons and uranium mining amounted to almost 6.8 trillion tenge. At the same time, the projected share of local content amounts to 46.5%, or 3.1 trillion tenge. These figures were given by the country's Ministry of Energy. In addition, the Kazakh content indicator will help to increase the direct investment fund. This is a joint project of the Energy Ministry and Chevron. It has already been registered within the Astana International Financial Center. The investing company will allocate more than 108 billion tenge for the development of local content as part of reinvestment obligations. The fund has already started accepting applications. Priority will be given to technology and IT projects, the production of basic goods and environmental protection.
Также одним из больших результатов в этой работе в этом году послужило.
Also, the establishment of the International Center for the Development of Oil and Gas Engineering is one of the major achievements of this year's work. This center was created with the help of our 3 major oil and gas operators. To date, the center has already done a lot of work to identify the most demanded goods in the oil and gas industry. I think that next year, together with the center, we will share some good news with you.
Совместно с этим центром мы поделимся с вами новыми новостями.
The experts from the Energy Ministry noted Kazakhstan's achievements in the field of subsoil use. The budget received about 13 billion tenge following 3 auctions for the right of subsoil use.
Все деньги поступают в бюджет, создаются новые рабочие места и
All the money goes into the budget and new jobs are created. Overall, this work helps to invest in geological exploration and replenish the mineral resource base of our country. The electronic format has shown the openness and transparency of the process, and more potential investors are now turning to us to participate in new auctions. The ministry has repeatedly said that we do not sell land, but the subsoil.
Говорила про это, что мы землю не продаем, мы продаем недра.
Kazakhstan registered 440 new cases of the coronavirus infection in the past day, wherein the highest daily amount was recorded in the city of Nur-Sultan. 85 people tested positive for COVID-19 in the capital, 62 in Almaty city, 58 in Karaganda region. The number of coronavirus cases confirmed in the country has already exceeded 987,000. Meanwhile, more than 16,000 Kazakh residents continue to receive treatment for COVID-19 to date, the health ministry reported. 2,000 out of them are in hospitals. Coronavirus vaccination campaign is well underway in Kazakhstan. 8,502,383 people have already been vaccinated with two components. Samples of two Kazakh-made coronavirus vaccines are undergoing final preclinical trials. Their effectiveness is currently being tested by the National Center for Expertise of Medicines. Director of the International Vaccinology Center said this on his Facebook account. He explained that the first medicine is a joint work of domestic developers and their Australian colleagues. The second vaccine, made in the form of nasal drops, is the result of the collaboration with experts from Ohio University. Initially, we tested these vaccines multiple times in small laboratories on animals and made sure of their safety. Now we hope that the vaccines will successfully undergo final preclinical trials. Omicron became the dominant variant in Greece in less than 1 month. The country's authorities doing everything possible to make the epidemic situation stable. Working hours of entertainment and night facilities were reduced to midnight. Residents were obliged to wear masks in supermarkets and public transport. Half of the employees of the public and private sectors switched to remote work. In the last 24 hours, Greece detected more than 21,000 COVID-19 cases. Germany tightened quarantine measures again. In particular, the traditional New Year's celebration at the Brandenburg Gate was cancelled. Authorities have also banned to set off firecrackers and fireworks. Besides, all nightclubs will be closed. It is allowed to gather groups of no more than 10 people and only if they are vaccinated. In case of violation of this rule, residents face a fine of 100 to 500 euros. Politicians want to prevent the spread of the Omicron variant by such measures.
Machen kann, was man will. Aber
Although I received 3 doses of vaccine, this time I will celebrate the New Year at home. It is safer. We are at an advanced age and do not feel the restrictions because we do not attend parties or football games.
Aber wir kommen aus Amsterdam.
We came to Berlin from Amsterdam because everything is close there, so we are happy to be here. I will celebrate the New Year with relatives. About 80% of them are vaccinated. I think that coronavirus will not disappear as a seasonal flu. That's why people should get vaccinated. Dozens of cities in northeastern Brazil were covered with floods and landslides caused by heavy rainfall. 24 people have already been killed by the disaster. The state of emergency was declared in almost all urban districts of the Bahia state. In total, more than 500,000 people suffered from the consequences of the flood. Nearly 50,000 were forced to leave their homes. 30,000 more people were left homeless. The federal government announced that $14 million will be allocated to rebuild infrastructure and housing. 2021 was not an easy year, but it turned out to be quite successful for Turkmenistan. The local media outlet Arzuf News quotes the country's president, Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov. The article also says that Turkmenistan has managed to maintain a high rate of GDP growth despite the global pandemic and the global crisis. The head of state also noted that production volumes remained at the same level in almost all economic sectors. Pensions, salaries and state benefits have been increased. Tashkent is getting ready to welcome 2022 on a grand scale. The capital of Uzbekistan is decorated with sparkling lights of garlands and balls. The country's main New Year tree, installed in the city, is among the 3 tallest ones in the CIS, after Ashgabat and Yerevan. Various festive shows are held throughout the country. An exhibition of works made from the waste of the eco-Kurak garment manufacture was opened in Bishkek. The colorful interior items were made using the old patchwork technique. It is worth noting that at present, the idea of waste-free production is promoted by everyone, including artists and artisans. The infantry brigades, which were a true heroic example of courage, have turned 80. 2 brigades were established on the territory of Kazakhstan in 1941, namely the 100th Brigade in Almaty and the 101st Brigade in Aktobe. They participated in the Operation Mars and the Battle of Veliki Luki near the city of Rjev, and also resisted the enemy in the Great Battle under Nevel. Azilhan Nurshayikov, Manshuk Mametova, Tahawi Akhtanov and Kasim Sharipov were among them. Young Kazakh men and women showed their real resilience and courage during that time.
Сол Алматыда құрылған бригадада 86% қазақ болатын.
The 100th Rifle Brigade, created in Almaty, was 86% Kazakh. It was led by Abulkhair Baymoldin. Among them was Manshuk Mametova, who fell in battle. After the same action, 11 people received the title of Hero of the Soviet Union. We must not forget their exploits.
Адам сол бригаданың Герой Советского Союза деген атақ алды, мәселен.
The 100th and 101st Brigades entered battle near Rjev on the same day on November 25, 1942. It was a fierce battle. 80% of the soldiers died in just 1 month. These are the memoirs of Kakena Benov, a member of the 100th Brigade. 2 Kazakh brigades were destroyed in 1942 during the Operation Mars. However, neither the names nor the feats of the heroes have been forgotten. Every citizen must respect the language and traditions of the country in which he lives. This is what Dmitry Romashchenko says, quoting Abai's words of edification. Being Ukrainian by nationality, he loves the works of Kazakh poets. Moreover, he teaches the Kazakh language and literature in one of the Kostanay schools. Romashchenko is a native of the Fedorovsky district, which is located on the border with Russia. However, this did not prevent him from mastering his Kazakh language skills. I go to a Russian school, but I am fluent in Kazakh. This is largely due to the lessons of Dmitry Sergeyevich that I attend. Memorizing new words is the main method in language learning, says Romashchenko. It should be a daily job. Reading literature, primarily Abai's works, helped him in learning the foreign language, although the first book he read in Kazakh is a novel by Shingiz Айтматов, Жан Пида.
16-шы қателеспесем, қазақ құлшылығым Құдайға лайық болса екен деп қам жемейді. Тек жұрт қылғаны бізде қылып, жоғалып тұрып жерсек болғаны дейді. Саудагер несиесін жия келгенде тапқаным осы біттім деп алсан ал, әйтпесе бола жерден мал қазан ба дейді, оны болушы еді ғой.
A little over a month is left before the start of the Winter Olympics in Beijing. The largest and most important sports event will be held for 24th time. The Olympic Village is ready to welcome athletes. Organizers placed special emphasis on ensuring security measures against COVID-19. It will be possible to use both air conditioning and a spatial outdoor air circulation system to ventilate the apartments during the Winter Olympics and Paralympics. We have fast food restaurants, cafes, convenience stores, dry cleaners, and hairdressing salons. Also, exhibitions of traditional Chinese culture. Sport fans around the world will not be able to attend the upcoming Olympics in Beijing due to the pandemic. Winter Games in China will be visited only by local residents. Unfortunately, the World Sports Competition can be watched only online. Sport fans from Kazakhstan are also planning to support domestic athletes. Athletes who represent Kazakhstan are actively preparing for the upcoming competitions. They are about to undergo final tests on the territory of the country before the Games. The list of national teams participating in the Olympics will be officially announced in January.